Welcome back to Southeast Texas Weekly. Once again, Godfrey Leger with the Democratic Party, David Bella with the Republican Party here to tell us, here to argue it out because, by golly, Southeast Texans are concerned about these issues. Really, you know, down home, the things that happen in Washington, surprise, surprise, affect us. Among these things, this whole tone of what was thought to be an era where we might, as a culture, begin to talk about a post-racial era, where we might be able to reconcile among the races. In the midst of that, this issue of the Ag Secretary, Tom Vilsack, fairly quickly in the controversy, firing Shirley Sherrod for what appeared to be racial comments about not helping a white Georgia farmer as much as she might others. Subsequent to that, there was reports surfaced that those comments had been taken out of context, and were altogether and were altogether different than what we had initially thought. But the secretary offered to resign because of firing her in such a rapid manner. Should that resignation have been accepted?
I wouldn't have been unhappy about it because he did overreact. He should have gotten his facts straight before he acted. If the president chose not to accept his resignation, that's the president's business, not my business.
David?
You know what? This really shows how bad a problem the Obama administration has with corruption and scandals within his party.
What is because corruption and scandal in there?
They had so many of his administration, they found out that they were tax evaders and had these problems. He's had so many people step down, and so when this video came up, that shows you how bad his administration has a problem when they were ready to just fire her like that without even waiting to see the real story. So that this video did not,
and there's no
the video on the internet did not fire Shirley. The Obama administration did, and they did that so quickly because they have so many other people that they had to do that, and so they didn't want to take a chance.
Vilsack asked for her resignation letter, and the administration did not accept it. Okay, and don't go throwing rocks at Democrats about scandals and all this stuff, because there's plenty of them in the Republican Party, I assure you.
Well, you know what's funny? That Shirley actually was given another job, and she didn't accept it. And I think it's because now that she had the spotlight, the media caught wind of other things that she was involved with. For instance, she was involved with this big lawsuit against the government, a bunch of black farmers suing for discrimination, and she was spearheaded that, and she actually got 80,000 black farmers a big multi-billion-dollar paycheck at the taxpayers' expense. Well, come to find out, there aren't even 80,000 black farmers in America. So she swindled the taxpayers of money, and so that's why she's not going back into office, because she's tainted now.
I can't sit here and tell you that that's all a bunch of hogwash, but if I did a little research, I bet I'd find some hogwash in there, as there usually is in Republican talking points on this stuff. It's half-truths, misrepresentations, yada, yada, yada.
Is there, in fact, hogwash in this matter of what the president has said and then done with regard to Iraq and the campaigning for the presidency? We were told that the war, that really the wars would end fairly soon. That there was a priority list on which America could expect to bring its troops home fairly quickly.
We should have never been in Iraq to begin with. We should have left as soon as possible. Yeah, we should have went after Osama bin Laden. But a more elegant way to do it would have been to go in with Special Forces team and not use the huge force of the military and try and occupy the country. And public opinion is turning on this issue. And I'm going to tell you something. Once public opinion turns, just like it did with the Vietnam War, you can forget it. Hang it up. We're going to be out of there.
The president's second Oval Office address is about to be aired fairly soon.
Yes. An
address that will center on this matter of Iraq and the pullout, the official pullout of combat troops, in a sense, from Iraq. Will this address tell us something we didn't know before, David?
I don't think so. During the end of the Bush administration, he had already created agreements to actually start pulling out right about this time anyways from Iraq. And the reason it took so long is because Bush did all the hard work. Bush is the one who went in there, took over the country from a brutal dictator who killed tens of thousands of his own people. Women could not vote, and turned that country around. They now have a government. He trained their forces to be able to take over the security force, the security detail, and so now Obama is benefiting from all Bush's hard work. And so yes, Iraq is now becoming stable enough, and also thanks to the surge in troops, Iraq is stable enough that we can start pulling out. We'll still be there. There will still be combat troops there if something happens. Just wait.
David, Southeast Texas blood and treasure has been invested in these wars. A great many Southeast Texas families have lent their young people to the military service in Iraq and Afghanistan. Did the Bush administration act rightly in beginning these wars amid the perhaps noble causes that you've mentioned here? A great many critics say that the Republicans were in fact too hawkish, that this war was never that it's certainly not accepted by the American public right now, but that it was never really fully accepted.
Did you know that World War II, even though America went and saved the world, that was not a popular war either?
With the Republicans.
Every war in the history of America, it starts out popular, even the Iraq War, and then over time the people get tired and they don't want to see on the news people getting killed. And so this war is no different than Vietnam well, it's very different from Vietnam, but it's no different from World War II, World War I. Started popular, people get tired of it, but you know what? In 30 years, people are going to look back and say, you know what? We freed a nation. We created a democracy within an area of dictators, and there weren't near as many deaths compared to other wars.
Godfrey, I got to turn it over to you.
We haven't created a nation yet, and we haven't necessarily created a government yet.
People vote, women can vote.
It remains to be seen. I'm going to tell you that could turn in a day or a week.
No more bombing the Kurds with weapons of mass destruction.
This is not going to go quietly, David. The people still hate each other. And the Saudis never wanted Bush Sr. to go and take over Saddam because they wanted Saddam there to keep the lid on things. They were scared as hell. Or if Saddam was taken out of the way, the Iranians would come after him.
Or you could look at it from this matter of stabilizing the region, that a stronger Iraq poses a challenge to Iran. The right-wing think tanks, before Bush ever got into office, had this concept of creating a democracy in the Middle East and have it infect the other countries with democracy. But that was a pipe dream. It's not ever going to happen. And we've just wasted a lot of time, money, and soldiers' blood for nothing.
Well, you know that it wasn't Bush that just said, hey, let's do this. You had the CIA, the other information agencies from around the world.
No.
Everybody said, hey, this guy's got weapons of mass destruction. He used them in the past.
Final quick words.
So it wasn't. There might have been some problems with intelligence, but
the CIA guy walked into Bush's office. He knew the answer he was supposed to give, and he stood up and gave the answer Bush wanted.
What about the other countries?
Darn right he did.
We've got to go to break. When we come back, subject a little closer to home, 72 migrants found dead in Mexico, an increasingly violent Mexico, just hours drive away from Texas. When we come back, we'll talk about whether the administration should be doing more to put a lid on that violence along our border. When Southeast Texas Weekly continues.